The 10th Doctor, he's like everyone's gateway drug into Doctor Who, right? This is where we were all born as big Doctor Who nerds. It's where we were baptized. Baptism by David Tennant. We all love the 10th Doctor. Well, not everyone, but most people. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank all the 10th Doctor stories. I don't know, is it episodes or stories? I think it's just stories. So the two-parters, I think, are counted as one single story. That's what I'm going to do today. Hello, my name is Aiden. I am the co-host of the 50% Doctor Who podcast. I do it with my good friend Connor. This is the YouTube channel where we post the video versions of the podcast. But also, we're starting to do, just a little bit of bonus content, some little extra vids here and there, testing the water, seeing how it goes. And today, what I'm going to do is, rank the 10th Doctor stories. So, I've got a little tier list here, as you can see, which, should be fun. I know people do this kind of thing all the time, so I guess original content? Who needs it? Who needs it? Alright, so we've got S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. We're going to go through, we're going to rank all these lovely stories and have a bloody ripper of a good time with it. Am I right? Alright, shall we do it? Shall we just go in? Have I waffled enough? I think so. Let's do it. Alright, Last of the Time Lords and the Sound of the Drums. This bad boy is kind of controversial, Series 3, it's a great series. I think for me, the older I get, the more I love it, and the more I love Martha, and the more I just love the feel of it, the warm, lovely tone of the series. But the finale definitely dips. Particularly the second part. The first part is still pretty damn good. And the second part has some great moments, some cool stuff in there, but then you get Jesus Doctor at the end, and look guys, I ain't no religious man, nor am I a religious Doctor Who man. Well, I guess I technically am, because I love Doctor Who so much. But, look, I don't think the Doctor's Jesus. So for that, we're getting a B tier, for bullshit. The Waters of Mars, this is like, right, this is what everyone thinks is like the best episode of Doctor Who, like ever, right? And I gotta say, I agree. I think it's pretty damn good. Straight in the S tier, I understand some people don't like it because it ends with a suicide, which is pretty damn tragic and depressing. And, you just don't want to feel that way when you watch a Doctor Who sometimes. But for me, the thematic value that it provides, that's such a shitty, nerdy film term. But it's so narratively cohesive. And it's such a great, cliffhanger going into the end of time. Because it's not just a big cliffhanger in terms of the Master's back, or anything like that. It's just like a cliffhanger of wow, what is the 10th Doctor going to do next? His mental health is in such a bad spot. He's gone so far. What's he going to do next? And that's a great cliffhanger. Right then, bitches. Silence of the Library and Forest of the Dead. This used to scare the living crap out of me as a kid. And I think River Song is definitely our best. Obviously, this introduces Alex Kingston as River Song. And I think it's great. I think it's a really solid episode. I know Connor, the other guy on this channel, doesn't really like this episode that much. But I think it's solid. I think it's really good. I can't really critique it that much. Really, maybe some of the characters are a little bit just cannon fodder. Is that the word? Where they're just kind of disposable. And I do think there's such good parts about it. Yeah, that's S tier. I'm sorry. Gridlock. Alright, right off the gate. Gridlock, used to hate it as a kid. On rewatch, liked it a lot more. I don't have too many thoughts on it. It's just a pretty solid season 3 story, and it really carries on the story arc of the Doctor getting over losing Gallifrey and stuff like that. A beautiful scene at the end. That's an A tier. A tier for me. Alright, Fires of Pompeii. I think, once again, it's got a really great emotional ending. The rest of the episode, though, isn't as good as I remember. We do have some Peter Capaldi in there, which is always some good stuff. I'm going to dump it in the B tier, okay? Voyage of the Damned! Look, I think it's great. Sometimes I don't like it as much when I watch it, but I still enjoy it. But then sometimes I watch it and I love it. I think it's tragic. It's definitely so dark for a Christmas special. I can totally see why RTD and the BBC got onto a bit of strife for it. But I think it's a lot of fun. It's a nice shake-up. Runaway Bride and Christmas Invasion are very close. They're very similar stories. Whereas Voyage of the Damned was hell no, we're doing Christmas in space, which is something that RTD doesn't really do other than in this episode. So that's an A tier for me. Speaking of Christmas specials, the Christmas Invasion, David Tennant's introduction story. who isn't nostalgic for this story? He is so on fire. You remember watching it as a kid as it aired, and like kind of instantly falling for David Tennant. I remember at the end of Parting of the Ways, Eccleston's last episode, I wasn't that keen on David. I was like, I don't know this guy. Who's this guy? He's no Christopher Eccleston. But I think it's good. I think he's really good. He easily run over my hearts in the story. I think it suffers a little bit from having been rewatched so many times though, which I don't know if that's a fair critique, but I'm going to put it in B tier. B tier for now. Alright, it's Penis Head Dalek Man. Yeah, that's a D tier because he's got dicks on his head. Sontaran Experiment and that's the Classic Who story. The Sontaran Stratagem and the Poison Sky. Yeah, pretty boring, but it brings in Will for Sylvia a lot more. And for that, it's getting in the sea. That's the only thing I like about it. Oh, and Martha Jones is back. That's cool. But there's just the story itself is kind of boring. And I think the Sontaran redesign here isn't that great. It's a bit naff. Utterly naff. So, So you guys reckon David's gonna be the 14th Doctor? I bloody hot damn hope not. Alright, 42. 42 times 0 is 0, which is what I would give this episode out of 1,000,000. It's going in the D tier. There's nothing exciting about this episode at all. And everyone's just angry. Everyone's written really angrily, and I understand it's a big, hot, fiery environment. Everyone's gonna be angry, but I ain't about that. All about that positivity. Good vibes, yo. Give me that love. Give me that love. The next Doctor. Okay, let's have a look. Let's sit down and remember when Connor and I reviewed that on the podcast. If you want to know what we thought, don't even bother listening to our podcast episode because we both found it so boring and stale that we talked about it for about 2 minutes of an hour-long episode. Yeah, it's definitely a C tier. It's not particularly shit, but it's just like not that interesting. I don't know, something about it just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't tickle me in the right places. But what does is Tooth and Claw, which is instantly in the A tier. The tone is so good, it's so dark, especially in season 2, which is so light-hearted and coming off the back of New Earth and Christmas Invasion. Tooth and Claw is a return to the darker Doctor, and just darker Doctor Who. And the werewolf CGI, obviously it's not great, but I think it holds up. And that score is great. Da 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 da. I'm gonna assume that this basic bitch series 4 pick is for Partners in Crime. Yeah, Partners in Crime. Used to love it as a kid, not so much now. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. There's a lot of fun in there. I think Wolf is great. Having Donna and Ten back together again. There's obviously the iconic window scene. Yeah, can't get enough of that stuff. It is insane. Speaking of insane, is when Doctor Who beat Marvel to Avengers Infinity War and Endgame with The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, which I think Journey's End, not as much happens. The Doctor is a very passive character in it. He just sits there and watches stuff happen. I understand he's in a grey shield, but it just makes his character kind of uninteresting. I'm going to put this in the A tier because what they have accomplished is still bloody exceptional. And you just... It's so much fun, isn't it? It's such a fun little story. Big story. Davros is back. Daleks again, but they're invading Earth in a big way, and that's pretty damn cool. I'm not the Tin Dog. I am the Tin Dog. This is School Reunion, the canine one. I think written by Toby Whitehouse, something like that. Yeah, that's good. Once again, one that I didn't really appreciate as a kid, but the older I grow, the more I love it. And it's got a little bit of Song for 10 score in there, which I love me a little bit of Song for 10 when I woke up today. I'm gonna put it in A tier. No, B. A, B. Oh, it's so like in the middle. A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. I don't know, man. We'll go B. Now we'll go A. It's got K9 in it. It's got K9 and big CGI bats. What isn't there to love? Human Nature, Family of Blood. Once again, one that I really didn't like as a kid. I remember going to school and some people being like, hey, I saw Doctor Who last night. Knowing that I loved it. And I was like, okay, yeah, what episode did you watch? And they're like, the one with the scarecrows in. And I was like, whoa, that is not the episode you should be watching. that one's so shit. And they were like, yeah, the Scarecrow, it's so bad, it's so bad. And then I just started bagging on Doctor Who because this guy was bagging on this episode. But now I love it so much. I love it so much that I'm going to put it in the S tier. Everything about it's great. It brings in classic Who with the pictures of them. And it's so emotional. The ending, John Smith being all sad and being all... there's just... What isn't there to love about this episode? I adore it very much. Chloe Webber in Fear Her is a D because it's just not great. The poor actress, I don't think she's that great in this performance, at least. I don't think she's that great. There is something cool about it being set in London 2012, which is obviously 6 years before the episode came out. And it does feel very much of that time, you know? Like just before the Olympics. So, I don't know. I like the time period of this. I like the feel of this one. I don't so much like a lot of the light-hearted ones in season 2, but this one does it for me. It's still a D tier though. Alright, Blink, Weeping Angels, scared the shit out of me as a kid. I remember watching it for the first time and like not being able to sleep. I had all these big windows behind where I used to have my dinner and my supper and stuff. I just had to stare out them windows into the darkness because I was so scared that a Weeping Angel was going to come out and get me. You're going in the A tier, because the Angels have the phone box. Midnight, one I hated as a kid. I guess I just didn't like the episodes that challenged the normalities of Doctor Who. You know, I just like the basic bitch ones as a kid, like the Fires of Pompeii and stuff like that. David in this is utterly exceptional. Along with the entire supporting cast, you got Merlin in there and things like that. They're all really damn good. And for that, Midnight, yeah, you can go in A tier. There you go. Utopia, also one I didn't like as a kid. But with 2022 vision, I would put it in an A. Barrowman is in it. Ooh, I'm still gonna keep it in an A though. You can't let him deter you from stories, alright? Okay? I'm sorry. Maybe you can. I don't know. Look, the guy's a dickhead. We can all agree. Let's just move on. Planet of the Dead is boring as batshit. It's C. It's a C tier. It's got very cool location filming though. So for that, I give it big credits. And the ending, it's kind of fun. Fine bus, bit silly, but it's kind of fun. And we get the He Will Knock 4 Times being introduced, which is pretty damn cool. The Shakespeare Code. Look, Gareth Roberts, get out, mate. That aside, probably is one of his best scripts. This alongside The Caretaker. I enjoyed this. I'm currently reading Louis Theroux's new book, Theroux the Keyhole. And he references getting drunk and watching this with his kid, which is fun. Story's no exceptional story, but I think the score's great and it comes together real nice at the end. And I like the setting, the set design, the entire production design is on fleek. It's a B tier for me. New Earth, I just don't get it. It just doesn't do it for me. It's a C tier. Nothing particularly wrong with it. I just don't really like it that much. Runaway Bride has such a great bit of score in it. And the whole episode is a lot of fun. Don't really have anything else to say about it though. But it's, let's go A tier. Smith and Jones. A solid series opener. A solid introduction of Freema Agnew as Martha Jones. And the Jadoon are such a great little returning villain. I'm going to put them in the A tier. I'm going to bump Runaway Bride down to B. I think that's just slightly more accurate for how I would rank them. You guys might rank these episodes differently, and that's fine. Alright, Lazarus Experiment. Look, I like this episode a lot more than I used to. Freema's looking fine in it, David's looking fine in it, everyone's looking fine. Everyone suits up so nicely. Mark Gatiss looks fine. The CGI doesn't really work, but it does come together. Big car driving past. It does come together real nice in the end, and the way that it, Martha's family work in terms of trying to turn her away from the Doctor, and also how they're working with the Saxon government. I think that's pretty cool. It's got to be a B for me. End of Time. I kind of love it more and more every time. It's a B tier. It's nothing exceptional as a story, but the scenes within it are so good. The Doctor and Wilf looking over planet Earth is amazing. The whole, you're the greatest man that's ever lived and I don't want to leave you. Well, I am Bernard Cribbins. Every time it's Bernard Cribbins' birthday and I see pictures of him coming up on social media, I immediately think he's died. And the day that happens, I'm going to be so traumatized. Because it's like 93 or something, isn't he? Isn't he? I think. I'll be traumatized like shit. Don't die, Bernard Cribbins. You cannot ever die. You're the most wonderful man I've ever met, and I don't want you to die. Age of Steel, Rise of the Cyber Boys. It just doesn't do much for me. It really doesn't. I know a lot of people like this one, but it's straight in the C tier for Cybermen. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it does a lot for me. But what does, Army of Ghosts, Doomsday, straight up into the A tier. It is, Doctor Who soap opera emotional writing at its finest. There's so much stuff comes together so well in the series. From the last 2 series, really, it does a lot of stuff really well, and I really like that. I think it's great. It's the culmination of 2 doctors, 1 companion, and her family and friends, and I think it's really great. It sent me as a kid. I remember I got the VHS that my nana had recorded, the videotape that my nana had recorded of the episode of TV, because it wasn't coming out in Australia for a few months. And she would record a few episodes onto one video, and then she'd send them over, and then record a few more, and then send the next one over. And she sent the back half of Series 2 over on a videotape, and it stopped after Army of Ghosts, and I had to wait like a month, 2 months to get Age of Steel. To get Doomsday. Tragic. And probably Murray's best score is Doomsday. I've said it. Season 2's got some great score. Madame de Pompadour, that stuff's great. But Doomsday, on fire. Planet of the Ood, as an episode as a whole, probably isn't that great. But it tackles a lot of really good themes. Slavery, that sort of thing. And it has that really great moment when Donna hears the Oods singing. So for that, it's going to go into C tier for me. Doctor's Daughter, not a lot to say for it, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine, and it's where David Tennant met Georgia Tennant. So that's kind of cool, isn't it? Unicorn on the Wasp, we don't talk about. Gareth Roberts, get in the bin. Get in the bin. Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit, I think. That's straight in the A tier for me. Possibly, it's. Well, what did I do that? With that, yeah, okay. Possibly even like teetering into S tier, but I'm gonna keep it in the A tier because it's not like a fan favorite one of myself that I dive into overly often. But on my recent rewatch for the podcast, it sent me, man, when the Doctor and Rose were hugging at the end. So emotional, and it feels so real, and that's because that was the last scene that those 2 actors shot together, I'm pretty sure. I just think the emotions are so raw and organic. And it just feels so real, and it's got a base under siege feel to it, but it just feels like the stakes are high. You really do feel like these characters are on their own. No one can get to them, and I appreciate that. Turn Left is tragic, straight into the S tier. It's so tragic. Culminates, I guess, Donna's plotline so well. She's no longer selfish. She's now sacrificing herself. There's great direction throughout this episode. So many really good shot sizes, shot choices, composition of shots. And it just builds momentum. It's really well written. And I think it was quite a rushed episode to be written from memory. I think David didn't have a lot of time to write it. But I think it's really well written. Straight in the S tier for me. Alright, bitches. Love and Monsters. You either love it or you hate it. I hate it. Slightly up because it's got some good moments for Jackie in it, and some good memes and some good music. ELO is in there. Love them. Straight into the C. Straight into C tier. Alright. Madame de Pompadour, The Girl in the Fireplace. Look, if I put this anywhere else on the list, I'd be lying. Straight in the S tier. It is beautiful. It is Murray Gold scoring at one of his finest once again. The Clockwork Monsters used to terrify me. Like thinking that one might be under my bed, that's scary. And still that hand grab that he does. And then the Doctor looks up and it's behind her on the bed. That shit sent me as a kid, man. So much emotions at the end. It's such a well-crafted thing. Stephen Moffat is such a good writer of tragedy. You know, he's also, you know, a funny writer. He gets the comedy right a lot of the time. But he really does write tragic storylines, like the Doctor and River's timelines being in reverse. And this episode really showcases that. It's so damn beautiful. Hideous Lantern, one of Mark Gatiss' probably weakest script. It's still alright. Euros Lyn does some interesting thing with the direction here. Every shot is pretty much a Dutch tilt, which makes you feel quite uncomfortable. I think he was kind of like, oh, we're in some pretty boring plain sets, so I'm going to do something interesting visually to shake it up. It has a weird moral at the end as well, that I don't know if I agree with. But we're going with the B tier, yeah, that's that. What do you guys think of this list? Does it look good to you? Does it look good? I'll leave it in the link in the comment section, in the description of this video, so that you can do it yourself if you so wish to do so. So I think like all Doctor Who, and like a lot of TV, so much of it is in that middle tier, that B tier, where they are really good, enjoyable episodes, maybe don't have a lot of substance though. You've also got quite a few in the A tier, which is good. There's definitely more in the higher episodes than the lower, worse episodes. There's more good than bad. And the good is so damn good. It's so good. David Tennant is one of the best actors out there. Probably shouldn't come back and be the 14th Doctor. Guys, thank you so much for watching. On Monday, you can expect our review of The Name of the Doctor. That's going to be our final New Who review that we're doing on the Wild for the podcast before we jump back and do some classic Who reviews for a month. So, you know, watch or listen to the 50% Doctor Who podcast any way you like. Every Monday, brand new episode coming out. And every Thursday, there'll be a video from either me or Connor chatting some shit about Doctor Who. Thank you so much, so damn much for your attention and your love and your respect today. And I hope that you'll stick around and listen to the podcast and watch all the videos that are coming your way. Thank you so much. See you next time.